There's been a lot of talk of Mountain Blade's multiplayer recently, but I know a lot of people aren't all that interested, so don't you worry, we are not talking about that one today. But on the 28th of May 2022, the developers at Tailworms Entertainment released a statement about the future for Bannerlord. It wasn't a fancy roadmap, it was more of just a forum post explaining their ideas, but boy do we have a lot to get through, because Bannerlord has a very interesting future. First of all, we have cutscenes. Some of the quests, world events, and anything you can really do within the game regarding the single-player story of Bannerlord will be added to an animation or a cutscene. These will help describe parts of the story. We saw later on last year the introduction of a cutscene to start your campaign. You know, the one with the eagle flying over Calradia. Yep. That one. But will it be similar to that? I'm expecting perhaps. However, they have mentioned that a number of these are going to be animations, so but maybe they're going to actually go a bit further with this, but who knows. Talking about scenes though, Tailwords have been hard at work adding in whatever they can to make each battle, whether it's in a village, a castle, or just a plain field attack, as unique as possible. And to do this, you add in custom scenes. So when you go into a battle in the forest, not every forest looks exactly the same, and so on and so forth. However, over the course of development, Tailwords' focus have shifted away from the smaller locations and more towards ensuring greater variety and quality in core gameplay areas. They've been working hard on creating the remaining town scenes, which will offer new siege challenges, as well as additional battle terrains to cover further regions of interest. They've said, naturally, we will also continue to improve our existing scenes as well. There will be so much more to come on this front. And we do know that battle terrain still isn't finished just yet. You know, that mechanic where the overworld map is translated perfectly to the battle scenes themselves. If there's a bridge on the overworld map, there will be a bridge in the game scene, a bit like Rome Total War did back in the day. They're still working on that, and that's just going to take more scenes as we go on. There are going to be big improvements to sieges and battles, such as overhauling the way attackers and defenders use troop transfers between formations, and of course changing spawn points just to help you not get completely destroyed or be able to completely swamp the enemy team. Armor effectiveness will change, and whilst this doesn't seem like a big point on its own, there's going to be a reason why. You see, armor is great and all, and it does help boost your health, but they're going to boost it even more for one main reason. In the future, your hero is going to be able to die in battles for good. Much like the perma-death modes where you can die of old age and then you have to take over as an heir or so on and so forth. All your NPCs and companions, lords, wives, children, they can all die already, but you can't in a battle scenario. So now that will happen. Of course, it is an optional extra where you can take off or add on, but I think it is something really interesting, especially with the changes to the armor and the combat mechanics. Speaking of combat mechanics, they've done way more fine-tuning it to make it a little bit more intentional. Gone are the days of random glitch attacks or not quite knowing how you managed to dismount that enemy soldier off his horse, but kind of happy you did. Now everything will be incredibly intentional, making sure that when you do a stun attack, they will be stunned. When you try and knock down the enemy, they will be knocked down, and you know exactly how that happened. And of course, not only does this affect the player, but the AI as well. There's going to be massive AI army improvements. They're going to be a much bigger threat on the overworld campaign map, not just improving themselves by, well, one of the main points they stated on this dev blog was less starving, more sieging. In general, everything is going to be pointing towards the fact that they're going to be way more aggressive, sieging all your castles, which I'm sure many of you will be infuriated about. Now, along with all these many other things, there's going to be a lot of quality of life inclusions. Party management options. Clan members in the future will be able to be recalled back to you so you can change and give them armor, things like that. There will also be fixes to the world map, parties, teleporting, floating, or rotating everywhere that kind of does a break your immersion. All in all, I think it's an interesting future. Is it all that exciting? Not necessarily, but you can't really expect every update that comes out from these guys to be groundbreaking, a new battle terrain mode. But speaking of that though, I would really like to see some more advancements on that pretty soon. I don't feel like I've noticed it all that much. One factor that I have thought about though is that replay editor. Do you remember back in the day when Bannerlord was being teased for the first few times, you know, between 2012 and 2015? The good old days of Bannerlord when we thought it was going to come out pretty soon. They teased this replay editor, being able to do different camera angles, being able to design your own battles and shoot shots, but that never came in. What happened to that? The map making stuff is pretty good at the moment. I have messed around with it a little bit, and as far as I know, scenes are really nice and easy to make, especially in modding, being able to add your own moddable assets and put them in. A mod that seems to be doing this well is something like the Old Realms mod, which creates some really cool universe stuff. Of course, we have seen the Helm's Deep map. It's a full scenario fighting at Helm's Deep. If you haven't already, go and check out my video on that. But in general, the modding seems to be really ramping up to a level that I think we've heard less complaints from modders, which seems like a good thing. But what happened to that replay editor? What happened to those systems around that? There are a few things that Tellwar's mentioned during the build-up of Bannerlord that still haven't quite released yet. There is no ETA on these improvements. These are just general things that they're working on now that will come in the future. Of course, there's been a lot of talk around multiplayer in the introduction of private servers and the new battle mode. That seems to be going really, really well, especially since it's going to be very soon since we get those modded server files for multiplayer. So we're going to get some beautiful multiplayer mods as sooner than you might think. Tellwar still seem to be set on working and improving the game. There was a statement a while ago, a forum post, asking if Tellwar think that they're done with the game, and it seems like they're not. It seems like they still think there's some way to go. In terms of the end of early access, we're probably going to be seeing it within the next 6 months to a year, but with a few tweaks to go, I guess we're going to have to wait for that announcement. But let me know what you think. Leave a like if the video if you enjoyed it, leave a dislike if you didn't. But until then, I will see you in the next one.